All right, what is going on, Laker fans? Thank you very much for tuning in. I appreciate you guys being a part of the post game show here. Lakers lose again. Another bad loss for the Lakers. 127-100, the final score against the Phoenix Suns. That's three straight losses for the Lakers. Three really ugly games. Whether you want to look at the game, they lost against the Orlando Magic, and we all kind of know how that one ended. The blowout loss against the Denver Nuggets on Saturday night, or this game against the Suns tonight, 127-100. There's a lot to get into. I'm going to let everybody, obviously take a second to get in here, and I'll try to take a look at your guys' comments as we get going. But really, really just kind of want to spend a little bit more time spending time about where this Lakers team is right now. Was our assessment on this team way off? I'm looking right now on Spectrum Sportsnet, minus 40 point differential in the third quarter in the last two games. You guys know this was it a 1 or 2 point game? By the time we got to halftime, I want to look here just to make sure. Lakers were down 2 at the half. That's it. And they get outscored 36-18 in that third quarter. The game against the Denver Nuggets, they were outscored 37-15 in that third quarter. Just awful third quarter performances. And you could look at it a couple different ways. And trust me, there's a lot of angles on this game that we're going to take. And we'll get into it. And, my question more than anything else right now is going to be about where this Lakers team is. They were going to get some really, really good tests. I was talking about this, whether I was talking about it in the post-game show or my show Monday through Friday at 8 a.m., whichever time I was talking about it, I wanted to see Nikola Jokic play on Saturday. I wanted to see KD play in tonight's game and Bradley Beal. I want the Lakers to play teams when they're fully healthy, because that's the best way of assessing what your team looks like. And at least up to this point, this is where we are. They've got a 3-game losing streak right now. That cushion that they had that we felt very, very comfortable about, because they got out 10-4 to start out the season. And you start looking at it. I remember when they got to 10-4, I spent a little time saying, look what they've done over these last couple of years, 13, 14 games in. This is where the Lakers have been. This is where the Lakers have been through 20 games. They're now in a stretch here that these two games in a row or the 3 games that they've lost in a row, but specifically these last 2 games where they got absolutely blown out in that third quarter by the Suns and absolutely blown out by that third quarter against the Denver Nuggets. This is my question now, because what typically happens in the NBA in all sports is the first half happens and now your second half adjustments come into play. What are the good coaches going to draw up and say, guys, this is what we saw in the first 24 minutes. This is how we're going to expose the other team coming into that third quarter and coming into that second half. And if you pay attention to what Michael Malone and Mike Budenholzer did tonight, these are 2 vet coaches that each have NBA championships at this stage of their career. Obviously coming in different places. Michael Malone did it in Denver. Budenholzer did it with the Milwaukee Bucks. Does that then say that the X's and O's and that these coaches are exposing the Lakers coaches, including JJ Redick and everybody else that is in that staff? That's the only thing that I could think of. The only thing that I could think of, I saw that quote, and I'm going to keep an eye out here because as soon as JJ Redick talks, we're going to go right to it. I think it's going to be very interesting to hear what he has to say. But we all know what JJ Redick said a couple days ago after they lost to the Denver Nuggets, basically saying that there wasn't fight in that third quarter. And then you heard all the excuses of it's a make or miss league. We just weren't hitting our shots. They were shooting 60% from the field and then 50% from the 3-point line. I hate all those excuses because that just tells me that you're conceding. It tells me that you're saying to yourself, it doesn't matter. We had no say in this. It was just the other team that was great, and you got to tip your cap. No, I think you do have a say in it. And when you see it 2 straight games, when you see the Lakers collapse the way they did to start that second half in both of these games against 2 teams that you're going to expect to be in the playoff hunt, to be right there when the dust settles, and to see 2 coaches, in my opinion, expose, whether it's a game plan perspective, whether it's individual players, it doesn't matter. teams go make their adjustments when the first half is over. And in that second half, for the Lakers to be that lopsided in these last couple of games, that now it kind of steers my attention towards the coaching staff. It steers my attention towards some of these players. Is there enough fight? But that lead just ballooned. Like I said, it was a 2-point game. Next thing you know, it's 6, 8, 10, 14, 18. What the hell just happened here? How are the Lakers down by so much? And that's 2 straight games where it happened in. I do want to look at a couple things here, and I do have my eye on Spectrum to see whenever JJ talks. As soon as he does, we'll go to it. And I keep hearing, by the way, can I get this off my chest here real quick? Everybody, look where they are in the NBA Cup, this, that. I'm more concerned with what the Lakers' regular season record is. I'm more concerned with how they're doing just in the grand scheme of things, even though everybody's looking at the NBA Cup. Couple things that I do want to point out from tonight's game. We'll start looking at some of these individual players. LeBron, 7 of 16. AD, 10 of 19. Rui, 3 of 8. I'll get into some of the stats, but I just kind of want to point out from a shooting perspective. D'Angelo Russell, 5 of 13. Dalton Knecht, 2 of 7. Lakers from the three-point line as a team shot 23.5% from the three-point line. They ended up taking, how many did they take here in total? I want to just make sure that I got this right here as far as how many threes they took in total. 8 of 34 from the three-point line. You go look at the other side, 17 of 42. They had a 27-point advantage from the three-point line on the Lakers. So just shows you how much they dominated from that perspective. And trust me, they dominated in so many other perspectives as well. I'll go to some of the team stats here just so we can see it. They shot 51% from the field. That's 2 straight games that you got squads that are shooting over 50% from the field. That also means your team isn't playing a lick of defense. When Windhorst was on my show a couple weeks ago, one of the things that he said was, hey, the thing that I am concerned about is your team going to start playing defense? And the answer is no. At least up to this point, they're not getting stops. They're not playing any defense. Phoenix, I think now is, did they say they're 9-1 now since KD? In the games that KD has played, they're 9-1. I think it's something along those lines. A few more on the team stats. So I did mention they're plus 27 from the three-point line were the Phoenix Suns. Free throw line. Suns only got there 10 times, by the way. Lakers got there 25 times. Didn't cash it as much as they should. Rebounding, not a big difference. 31 assists for the Phoenix Suns. Only 9 turnovers and 12 turnovers, so the turnovers weren't certainly a problem. But listen, the largest lead that Denver had on Saturday was 29 points. The largest lead the Suns had tonight was 30. Lakers are not just losing, and these are close games to start the second half. You're down 2 starting this game, and you were up 6 against Denver. How are you getting blown out that bad that quick? It was kind of mind-boggling to me. When I was at the game on Saturday, I was sitting there. When the second half started, I was chatting with Mike Bresnahan, covers the Lakers for Spectrum Sportsnet. And as I'm sitting there having the conversation with him, I'm like, wow, well, that 6-point lead was gone pretty quick, or that 10-point lead was gone pretty quick. By the time I stopped talking to Brez, I went to go take a seat in my, in my seat. They're down like 12 or 14 or something along those lines. That's how quick it happened. You're not even talking about stretches where a team just jumps out and they were up 20 by the time the first quarter ended. You're talking about 20, 24 minutes of gameplay, and you go from down 2 to down 30 or up 6 to down 29. That's obviously not going to get it done, and I think there's some fair concern right there. All right, in this NBA Cup that they're putting out there, I guess the point differential, Lakers are now minus 16. They got the Thunder coming up on Friday. They got San Antonio coming up tomorrow. We'll see what happens with the NBA Cup. Like I said, I'm more interested in seeing, are the Lakers getting W's or are they getting L's? And these last 3 games, they're clearly getting L's. All right, let's look at some of the comments here, and we'll go from there. Thanks, Lee. Expanded play, share, air out frustrations, air them out. I'm here for you. Don't worry. That's the whole point of a lot of this channel, which was built on Lakers post-game shows. That's exactly what it is. Lose by 30 or 3, it doesn't matter. I disagree completely. I completely disagree. You know, if I told you that Lakers lost, let's pause it here. I want to go to JJ here real quick. We'll come back. I'm going to keep that comment up, or at least I'll go back to it. Let's take a quick listen to JJ Redick here.
We're physical. Had a couple, I would call them game plan mistakes. I thought we had a better first half than the score. Just kind of lost it offensively, and we weren't getting stops on top of that. And you get down, and there's certainly could be some momentum and some energy, but I thought our guys kept playing, and I don't know what we were, 7 for 26 in the second half, I think, from 3. I thought we got good looks, but sometimes the missed shots can sort of have an effect, especially if you're not getting stops on the other end.
Heard that two games in a row.
We may have to just look at some things defensively, particularly against really good offensive teams, about what our overall sort of strategies are. They kind of got whatever they wanted. Their main players got to their spots and hit tough twos, which they do, and they still took 42 threes. So
you mentioned the kind of the third quarter in the Denver game. The third quarter is a similar margin. Did you see any similar spirits?
No, our guys kept playing. It was a tough night.
Did you have any information on Jackson Hayes?
I have not received any yet.
We talked about this at the last game, and I guess maybe it's not the same kind of looks, different defense, all that stuff. But LeBron had high turnover volume again tonight. Was there any of the same reasons tonight that you've seen in some of these other games?
No. I maybe remember maybe 1 or 2. I know one for sure that hit Jackson in the face, but I think we converted once on 9 transition opportunities. Some of that was we weren't getting a ton of stops, but I think just overall, we've been great in transition throughout the year. Not good tonight. That's that's not just LeBron. It's everybody.
JJ,
I'm gonna see if we get one more in
tonight. You guys may have to reconsider, look back over your defensive strategies. I guess in real time, because it's not just tonight, it's been the past few games. The defense hasn't performed at a high level. What I guess have you seen slip even more recently, or do you think just on right now that needs to be looked at within that?
Yeah, I would say if you think about being disruptive, I think it starts there, and some of it is like personnel based, and we don't necessarily have a ton of guys that can go and pick up full court, but teams are trying to disrupt what we do, just like we're trying to disrupt what other teams are doing. And whether that's with screening action or DHOs, whatever it may be. So I think we can be better there. We can be better executing game plan. But look, I mean, sometimes against a team like this, against a player like Jokic, you can game plan all you want, but great players are going to be great sometimes. And their 3 guys were great tonight, and Jokic was great the other night.
All right, I'm going to stop it right there. I'd rather spend a little time here just kind of getting to some of the stuff that he said. First off, I want to say this. I want to go back to the comment here. Pale, I appreciate the comment. I'll tell you why I disagree with you. Lose by 30 or lose by 3, it doesn't matter. Let me tell you why it does matter. And I think it certainly matters for the Lakers. If I said this when they lost to Denver, if they had just lost, it's just a good battle, right? You know what? Let me use the game, and I don't want to make an excuse for the Lakers, but losing to Orlando at the end, when you got guys that miss free throws, it's correctable. You're saying to yourself, all right, we should have won that game. But when you play 82 games, sometimes this happens. Sometimes it happens where shit just doesn't go your way. But it's not like the Orlando Magic blew out the Lakers. Now, Orlando played well. Paulo Banchero wasn't even there, and they still played well. When you lose as big as they lost to against the Denver Nuggets, and then you follow that up with another. They were down by 29 against Denver. They were down by 30 against the Suns. They lost by 27. I don't know how you can walk away and say that's the same thing as losing by 2 or 3 points with each one of those teams. You could lose by 2 or 3 against Denver and 2 or 3 by Phoenix and just say, listen, that's a good squad too. We were on the road on this one. Denver's had our number, but if we just make a correction here and a correction there, I think we're going to be fine. I don't know what the one correction is to beat the Denver Nuggets. I don't know what the one correction is to beat the Phoenix Suns coming off 2 blowout games like this. If it was one and it was out of nowhere, let's just say they lost to Denver the way they did and they lost by 2 or 3 tonight, at least you can stomach it a little bit more and say, well, if this player would have done that, or if they played a little bit more defense, or if that happened, I'm not a fan of lose by 30 or 3. It doesn't matter. I think it does matter. I think it for me kind of highlights some things that I didn't know. This is not something that I was expecting, to be honest with you. I wasn't expecting this from the Lakers. Just very simply put, I thought when they played Denver, they had a good chance to win that game. I was wrong. I thought tonight going up against Phoenix, because KD had missed so many games and Bradley Beal, I'm like, their timing's got to be off a little bit. If there's a game Lakers can get, they can get this against Phoenix. And I'm not the biggest believer of the Phoenix Suns, and maybe I'm going to get proved wrong when it comes to, as the season progresses. But 2 losses like this will be the first time that I'm looking at this Lakers team so far this year. And now I'm starting to question, was it just a good start? Or are they actually, a team that the 10-4 team that we saw is the team that they are? I got a lot of comments here that we're talking about. I'm going to go. These are all going to be kind of defensive focused. Slee, why is Redick starting when we're the worst defensive team in the league? What the hell happens during halftime that they come out with such a lack of energy again? And I'm pretty sure you're talking about the defensive side. Their offense isn't the problem. It's the defense. The defense never showed up, and the offense is only good for 2 quarters. They lay down. They look lost on D. A lot of these comments are focused at the right direction. What they're focused on is, can you get stops? Guys, let me tell you something. When you heard J.J. Redick saying, here's what we shot from the 3-point line, when you hear J.J. Redick talking specifically about, sometimes I'm going to use as an example a couple of nights ago when Anthony Davis said it's a make or miss league. When you hear guys talking about the offense, the whole reason why defense wins championships and why it's so important and this and that is because offense, always there's going to be nights where the shot's just not falling, or there is no rhythm, or give the other team credit on the defensive side, or maybe you're missing one of your key players, or one of your key players is having an off night, even if other guys are playing well. But if you don't have the ability to get stops, to play some type of defense, then now you're just relying on your offense to win you a game. I don't know if you guys are big. I think this is actually, I got a couple good comps here. If you're a big football fan, go ahead and give me a good defense and a running game, because that's what's going to win in the playoffs. Might be boring, but it's most likely going to win in the playoffs. We look at teams out there, in the past, you look at the Golden State Warriors and like, oh my gosh, look how great their offense is, and Steph can hit and Clay can hit. They would lock down with Andre Iguodala and Draymond Green, and Klay Thompson was a great defender. They had other guys that can contribute as well. The championship that the Lakers won in 2020, we might talk about, you had Anthony Davis, you had LeBron. You had Dwight Howard as a defensive player. You had Avery Bradley that was all over the place. You had Anthony Davis, one of the best defenders in the league. At the end of the day, if you can't get stops, that's your best way of guaranteeing yourself that you're not going to have a successful season. This is a team has to figure out how to get stops. I don't want to hear, well, Nikola Jokic is a great player. Well, Kevin Durant is a great player. Every single night in the Western Conference, you're going to be facing a good team. What do you think is going to happen tomorrow? They got Wemby. What's going to happen on Friday? They got Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. What's going to happen on even a team that's not good like the Utah Jazz? They have some very talented players that are on that team as well. Every single night in the West, you're going to face a really good team or you're going to face a really good player. So is the excuse every single night going to be, well, Shai just had a really good night? Well, Wemby was kind of unstoppable. If they can't get stops, that 10-4 record is going to get wiped out really, really quick. And it already has. That's 3 straight games. I've said this and I'll say it again. I want games where we could see, let's gauge where the Lakers are. We've now got it 3 straight games, and they failed all 3 times. Take out Orlando. Okay, Orlando was a fluke. They should have won that game. Against Denver, got their asses kicked. Against Phoenix, they got their asses kicked. And I don't even know where those 2 teams are in the Western Conference. I don't think those 2 teams are better than Oklahoma City. We'll see. We'll see what Oklahoma City does this year. I don't know if the second or third best team in the Western Conference, is it the Warriors? Is it the Suns? Is it Minnesota? Is it Dallas? Is it the Suns? I have no idea who it is. These are just 2 teams you could potentially face down the road. So I think how you lose matters is the best way that I can put it. I think how you lose is impactful. I think how you lose does have an effect on, the psyche of the team and where the team goes from here. And this certainly is not it's certainly not a good start. Let's take a look here. I'm watching actually. So Jackson Hayes goes down with an injury. It didn't even look like there was contact. He just dunked the ball and got injured. So there's another big for the Lakers there. Hayes just coming back recently, and now it looks like we'll see what happens. But he had to be helped off the court. That didn't look good. That was late in the fourth quarter with only a minute left. Then you see Anthony Davis, LeBron, everybody just kind of walking off the court. Another loss for the Lakers, another disappointing loss for the Lakers. All right, let's take a look at some of your comments here. I will point out here the big 3 for the Phoenix Suns. KD 23-6. Bradley Beal 23. And Devin Booker 26-10. If Bradley Beal's going 10 of 15 from the field, you're in trouble. You're definitely in trouble. If all 3 of those guys are contributing like that, but they're efficient, each one of these guys were efficient. KD, over 50%, 9 of 17. Devin Booker, 10 of 17. Bradley Beal, 10 of 15. If the Phoenix Suns are getting that much help, or are getting an efficient night like that from Bradley Beal, then that's going to obviously be a lot of trouble here. All right, let's take a look here. Take a look at some of your comments here. Connect can easily hit those wide open corner shots, but JJ wants Rui to ball out, and Rui gave him 7. What a coach. He wants 7 points from Rui rather than Connect 37. AR and D'Lo are trash. Can I tell you guys something? You guys remember in the last post-game show where I said, I'm not telling you it's an issue now, but I guarantee you the conversation will start coming up. You took Dalton Connect out of the starting lineup, right? Dalton Connect was taken out of the starting lineup when Rui came back. And however they want to justify that, they can. That's fine. But there's going to be questions immediately that's going to start asking, if you start going on a little bit of a losing streak here and Rui is not performing, there's going to be questions of, well, why'd you take Dalton Connect out of the starting lineup? Now, the problem for the Lakers is, who do you put him in for? Do you put Connect in there for Rui? Okay, you're going to lose some size. You're going to lose a little bit of defense there. But I think you got to find a way to put Dalton Connect back in that starting lineup. Connect played 19 minutes tonight. I'd rather see Dalton Connect play 25-plus minutes. If Jared Vanderbilt, if and when he comes back, are you putting Vando in for Rui, and are you putting Connect in for Cam? And now all of a sudden you got a little bit more defense, but then you got a real offensive player as well. They're going to have to probably play around with this, because 19 minutes for Dalton Connect, since he came out of the starting lineup, you've lost a couple games in a row. That dude was putting up numbers, real deal numbers over that 2-week span or so. And I don't know what happens. Taking him out of the starting lineup is now all of a sudden he's coming in with some of these other bench players. It's not Bron dishing him the ball, or maybe that attention that was going to Anthony Davis and LeBron, now they could pay more attention to Dalton Connect. Whatever the scenario is, all I'm saying is that's going to be a conversation, especially if the Lakers are continuing to lose, and especially if Rui isn't putting up good enough numbers. Or in Cam's case tonight, Cam Reddish didn't have a point, but I'm going to go back to what I said from the beginning. They gave up 127, so they didn't give themselves a shot to win the game. If they're giving up 108, 107, then that's a different conversation, but they're giving up too many points. All right, let's see what else we got here. AR was on the ground all night, getting pushed over. Alex Caruso, I forgot about Caruso. Avery Bradley, Alex Caruso in the defensive backcourt in 2020. Lakers got stops back in the days. By the way, the elite teams right now, whether it's Boston, whether it's Cleveland, whether it's OKC, let me give you another team. The Golden State Warriors, those are all the top teams in the NBA defensively. Why did we give Rui a long-term deal? There was a reason Washington gave up on him. I think the Lakers, definitely thought that they could churn him around and they could make him a valuable asset. And by the way, when he's not a Laker, there's going to be another team out there that says, well, we could churn him around. Listen, Rui Hachimura, the best way to describe Rui is he's a player with a lot of talent, but he's wildly inconsistent. He's got great size. He looks like a player that can contribute, but that has not been the case. Let's see what Austin Reaves got to say. Let's take a listen.
See, come third quarter, as Phoenix pretty much controlled the whole period.
Once again, I just thought we were bad in the third quarter. There's a lot to watch and clean up. Shot selection, taking care of the ball. Obviously, the defensive end had to be more aggressive, more physical. But I think, honestly, there's a little bit of everything you can do, to be better.
Does that compound the frustration for you, just given the Denver loss and the way that game went?
Yeah, I mean, anytime you lose, it's frustrating. But just not playing good is frustrating. You have to go back to the drawing board and figure out what it is to change or what you need to do to be better. And that's what we'll do.
When JJ got the job, he talked about process being more important and how process eventually lead to good results. He said that again pregame tonight, but when you're in it and you're struggling, how hard is it to stay big picture?
I mean, in the moment, it's as you're competing, it's nearly impossible to think about the big picture when you're getting your ass kicked. But when it's all over, you sit down, you think about it, and we're 10-7 right now, I believe, and we're still in a good spot. So it's not like we're in a bad spot. And I think there's probably 3 losses that we have that have been just bad, and this one and the last one, I think Detroit, we didn't play good either, but when you in the moment, it sucks because who wants to even think about the big picture in the moment? You think about trying to win a game at that moment.
The nature of the way this season's gone, so you 3-0, then 1-4, then 6 in a row, then 0-3. Like, how has that kind of tested the stability of your group, kind of like outlook wise?
I think that just goes back to being process, oriented. Like, when things are going good, they're obviously good. You feel good. That's, anything in life. You're doing well at your job. You're happy. As soon as you hit a little speed bump, you're frustrated. You have to, put your head down and figure out how to clean it up and get back on those, high waves. So, that's what we're doing right now. Like I said, I think that's why you bring in a system and you bring in a foundation to rely on. Because if not, then that's what creates chaos. So we're not in that right now. We just have to, be better tomorrow.
All right, I'll stop it there. We'll see. I could keep going, but to be honest with you, I think it's just kind of all the same chatter, the same talk. Nothing, nothing crazy there. I want to point out there's a couple more comments I starred here that I want to take a quick look at. So OKC going to beat up on the Lakers. So OKC, it's not the next matchup the Lakers have. They got San Antonio next. The Spurs, which I'm looking at right now, they've won 4 in a row. They beat the Thunder, they beat the Jazz, they beat the Warriors, and they won again against the Jazz. So there was a stage for San Antonio. They lost to the Lakers. That was a really, really good game, and it kind of opened up my eyes to San Antonio. I'm like, damn, San Antonio, they definitely can be a playing team. Then they lost to the Mavericks. Since they lost those 2 games, they've won 4 games in a row. So they've won 6 of their last 8 games, really kind of balling out here since they got off to a bad start. And then they got the Oklahoma City Thunder. So it's not the Thunder just yet. Thunder will be in a little bit here. All right, here's a couple more things that I saw. Why would you fix something that wasn't broken? JJ, when Dalton Connect was balling, Rui should have never started. There is a saying out there that a player shouldn't lose his starting job due to injury. And this is kind of the situation that Rui and the Lakers kind of found themselves in. Rui was injured. Dalton Connect worked his way into the starting lineup, and then Rui came back and he got his starting position back. Here's the one thing I'll argue about that. We already had the conversation about D'Angelo Russell going from a starter to the bench. And why did that happen? That happened because they felt like it's in the best interest of the team, and they felt like they needed another contributor off the bench to facilitate. LeBron's out. This is going to help D'Lo. It's going to help the Lakers. I'm not telling you that if Rui was not starting in these last 2 games, I'm not telling you that if Dalton Connect was in the starting lineup, Lakers would have won these last 2 games. Think about the last couple of games for the Lakers. They were down 30 at one point and down 29 in their last 2 matchups. I don't think Dalton Connect going into the starting lineup, that was just going to completely change. It was going to switch that quick. But I think that conversation is fair because they were playing a certain brand of basketball, certain style of basketball, and they were playing well. And you made a change. And whether that was because of that or not, it could have just easily been a coincidence, which it very well can. Again, it's not like these 2 games were close. Lakers got ran in these last couple of matchups, but I get where you're coming from there. I don't know who is worse on D, AR or D'Lo. I'll go D'Lo on that one. Rui's not a good basketball player. D'Angelo is not a good basketball player. Okay, well, there's some thoughts there on this Lakers team. Let's see what else we have here. People asking why Pelinka isn't making trades. Don't understand. They don't want Rui or D'Lo or Gabe. Our hands are tied. I'll tell you what they do want. I'll tell you what teams do want. Feels like a bourbon night, Alan. David, I get it. I understand where you're coming from, but on a Tuesday, I don't think I can do it on Tuesday. Technically, today's a Thursday. Let me go back to this comment here. I'll tell you what teams do want. I had Mark Medina on earlier today. We were talking about, needs that the Lakers have. What would they do at the trade deadline? Everything else that comes up. And I think the question is going to be for the Lakers. Teams want one thing. They want 2 things from the Lakers. Give us a contract that's going to come off our books next year. Okay, they got that with D'Angelo. Rui is a contract that you would have to have for the remainder of this year and the following year. Here's another thing that they're going to ask for. Why don't you take a couple of our bad contracts in the process as well? Maybe we gave a guy too much money and he's on our books for a couple of years. And oh, by the way, those 2 first-rounders that you have, we're going to need those as well. So it's not that the Lakers can't make moves. I don't, I've said this before, and I certainly don't want to hear excuses from the Lakers front office. Teams still made trades and made moves over this last year and a half. So it's not that moves are not being made. It's up to the front office to be creative, to find ways to negotiate better, to sweeten the pot, whatever it is, timing, all that stuff that comes into play. It's up to the Lakers to figure out what that process is going to be to go out there and make a trade. And I'm not telling you that they're going to go make a trade tomorrow, but I'm just kind of addressing this. They don't necessarily they don't necessarily have to want Rui or D'Lo or Gabe or any of these guys. There's other things that they want that, obviously the Lakers can offer to sweeten any pot. All right, let's take another look here. Teams want those 2 first-rounders. Of course they do. A lot of these teams that you're going to potentially be making a deal with, that's all they care about. They're a team that maybe isn't in contention, is going to be working with all the other contenders out there or teams out there that think that, Lakers aren't going to be on their own trying to make a move out there. So they're going to find the best deal. And whether, there is a Lakers tax or maybe they don't want to make a deal with the Lakers, I'm going to go back to it. Nobody really wants to hear any of these excuses. You either are finding a way to make it happen or you're not. And that's, again, going to be on that front office to try to figure it out. Sleet, true, but we would have lost by 15 instead of 30. Hey, maybe you're right there. All right, then put him back in put Dalton Connect back in that starting lineup. Let's take a look at a couple more here. If I'm only going to do it if Braun or AD talks. If one of those 2 players talk, then we'll take a quick look there. But if it's not one of those 2 players, I don't think I'm going to go to. I don't think I'll go to any other player. Suns expose the Lakers. Guess who was watching the game? The Spurs, who play them tomorrow night, and they'll get beat. Second of a back-to-back. Obviously going to be a difficult game for the Lakers. Those are never easy. I mean, last time Lakers and the Spurs played, that was 120-115. It was a close game. It came all the way down to the end. The next night, Lakers had a second of a back-to-back against the Pelicans. Remember, Pelicans didn't have Zion, DeJounte Murray, Herb Jones, Jose Alvarado. They were missing so many key players, and that game came down to the wire, probably because it was a second of a back-to-back. So in this game, you get the San Antonio Spurs that now don't have to. I don't know if the Spurs were on a second of a back-to-back. I actually don't know. When did the Spurs play? Did they play tonight? They play yesterday. I'll have to take a quick look there. Let me just double-check here because I'm curious. They won tonight. So Spurs will be on a second of a back-to-back as well. But much younger team, right? How much of an effect does that have on the Spurs more than it would have on the Lakers? I would imagine it affects the Lakers a lot more. All right, standings 2. Actually, no. We are going to listen to Braun. Let's take a quick listen to Braun here, courtesy Spectrum Sportsnet.
See any through lines or any concerns about the defense specifically in these consecutive games?
No, not off the top of my head, but obviously we give up too many points in the third, and we're not scoring in the third, so gotta shore that up.
And I know you have to watch the tape, but any initial thoughts on that? You just mentioned the offense and kind of that we know that goes and affects the defense as well. What are anything you can notice off the top?
No, just both. We're not very good defensively or very good offensively last couple games in third.
JJ suggested that after an effort like this defensively, him and his coach staff made to look at strategies for what you guys are doing defensively. Have you seen anything in terms of schemes that you think could be helped adjusted?
No, whatever our scheme is for the game, we got to go out and execute it.
You guys have been pretty process oriented throughout this, and the results have been mostly good. When you guys are struggling, like especially these last 2 games, how hard is it to stay both big picture but also committed to the systems and things that you're trying to build?
No, we are a process oriented team, and we understand what that's not going to happen overnight. So you stay even keel. You don't get too high and never get too low.
Do you feel like that in these last 2 games that the stress of losing and struggling has taken you guys out of the stuff you wanted to do?
No, I mean, obviously throughout the course of the game, you want to play better. It's that simple. And then when you don't, obviously you get, what can you do better? You're frustrated at times, obviously, but you never get frustrated with the process. That is what it is, and you just keep working at it.
You've been self-critical with us about your turnovers so far this season. You had 5 tonight, which is more than your season average. Are you seeing something consistently that's causing them for you so far this season?
I'm trying to make the right play. Some of them is just not a good read. Some of them are. Some of them, I can be a little bit more, careful. But at the end of the day, I'm trying to make winning plays. So I don't. It's not a big deal for me.
All right, that's all we got there. That should do it there. I will. I'll cut off that portion of it. To be honest with you, I don't think I heard anything from the game after the Denver Nuggets and this game tonight. I didn't really hear anything that popped out that said to myself, well, I know. I guess JJ Redick basically questioning the Lakers' effort. Definitely that stood out after the game against Denver. The team doesn't sound too concerned about it. For me, it's more just how much you're losing by, I would say, is the concern. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. Let's see how they respond tomorrow. If you lose again tomorrow, that's 4 losses in a row going into that OKC game, and you're 10-8, and you got a chance to, potentially, if you lost to the team right now that it seems like is the class of the Western Conference, you could so quickly get close to 500 after you kind of built a nice little cushion here. I was looking at the standings here. Hey, listen, is it too early to look at the standings? Sure. 10-7 are the Lakers. Now, what are they? A half game from number 4 in the Western Conference. They're sitting at number 6, but they're also a half game from being number 9 or 10. Or if you lost to the San Antonio Spurs tomorrow, Spurs would have a better record than you. So, and Spurs are sitting at 10. Lakers are sitting at number 6. It's fluid. I think there are 10 teams right now that are above 500 in the Western Conference. You still got teams like Minnesota and Sacramento, teams that you thought would be in the mix, even the Pelicans, but with all their injuries that are all past that number 10 spot. So there are a lot of teams trying to figure out who they are, but I'm not watching other teams. I'm just watching the Lakers. I know one team got out to a 10-4 start, and they've lost 3 games in a row, and it's looked really ugly these last couple of games. So certainly not ideal by any stretch. I'm going to read 1 or 2 more comments, and then we're going to get out of here. Their offense shows up for 2 quarters. Defense doesn't show up the whole game. Let's question JJ Redick as a coach, period. All right. I was mind blown when the Lakers announced they were not making any changes to the season. Are the Lakers broke due to LBJ? I think a lot of people were surprised. I think a lot of people, even people within the industry, definitely some, reporters and beat writers that I talk to all the time or I have on the show or something like that. I think a lot of people are like, wait, what are you talking about? You're not making a move. Of course you're going to make a move. Clearly you need to make some kind of move, and the Lakers were not able to do so. Okay, a couple quick announcements here, and then we're going to get out of here. I'm going to ask everybody a favor here. If you've yet to subscribe to my channel, I am 100% exclusively now on YouTube. So I'm doing a show Monday through Friday at 8 a.m. I'm doing the post-game show as well for every Lakers game. I would greatly appreciate your support. It is an independent endeavor. No longer up in Los Angeles with 710 ESPN. So obviously I'm doing everything on my own now. Love doing it. Enjoy doing it. Working on a lot of things behind the scenes. I'm genuinely enjoying what I'm doing. If I could get you guys to support the channel by just subscribing, it would mean the world to me. And it really, really does help the channel. So if you can subscribe to the channel, if you've been listening to me for a long time, or even if you just started listening to me recently, whenever it is, if you can subscribe to the channel, that would be phenomenal. I'm back on tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. We'll dissect more of this Lakers stuff. Certainly talk Lakers basketball. For those that were putting in the comments that Blake Snell, who signed $180, whatever it was, with the Dodgers, of course, that's going to be a conversation for tomorrow as well. And then anything else that's kind of Southern California based, I'm going to try to hit on. So thank you for being a part of the post-game show tonight. I'm back on tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Sorry here that we meet on basically just L's for the Lakers lately. Unfortunately, that's kind of been what it's been for the Lakers. So have a great rest of your night. I'll be back with you guys tomorrow morning, and thank you for being a part of the show. Have a great rest of your night.